Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm playing with these two palettes. I specifically wanted to use Dirty Martini from Glamlite, and then I brought in Nomad Paradise Islands just for a little bit of extra. If you can tell how I used it before we start the video, you get extra points. If you've never been here before, hello and welcome. My name is Rachel. I'm a homeschooling stay-at-home mom. I really like colorful eyeshadow in general, but especially colorful eyeshadow, and I upload several videos every week. It's all eyeshadow related content. I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. Alright, let's get going with today's look. I have already primed my eyes. I used the Glamlite Icing Primer. Everything I'm using is mentioned and, if possible, linked below in the description box. Today my main goal is to use the Dirty Martini palette. Above I will card for you a recent video I made talking about all the palettes in my collection that I had not yet used this year, and I was really pleased that out of everything I own, I think there were only 5 or 6 that I hadn't touched yet. Since making that video, I have used all of them except for 2. This is one of those 2. This is the Dirty Martini palette, and every time I dip into this palette, I go for the greens, so I thought it would be fun to use the blues today. And because there's no like mid or very light tone blue in this palette, I also grabbed the Nomad Paradise Islands palette. I mean, I'll just use it as a blending out shade probably. And then I have my palette pull-in project. Again, I can card that above for you if you don't know what it is, but the shadow I have to use today is gone. It's called Pixie Dust. It was my favorite shimmer in the palette. There is a little bit left in the pan, so I will just dip my finger in the dregs of this pan and use the Pixie Dust shadow somehow in today's look. Pixie Dust is a gold grassy green shimmer. A little bit of lime. It's pretty. It was a really pretty shimmer. It was. Actually, you know what? Now looking at the Dirty Martini palette a little bit more closely, there is a pretty light to mid-tone bluish matte. So maybe I'll just stay in Dirty Martini and not grab Paradise Islands at all. I don't know. We'll see. There really are 4 blue tones in Dirty Martini. I might use all of them today. I've got a decent sized blending brush right here, and I'm going to grab the shade Classic. And I'll start that in my entire crease area. I think that this is such a great green palette. It's not fully monochromatic because obviously it has blue tones, and it also has a couple of browns as well as some more metallic colors, bronze, pewter, etc. But on the whole, it's a very green palette, and I think it's great. It is super nice Glamlite quality. I mean, the formula is excellent. It really is. I like the Glamlite formula. I don't always like their collab choices or their packaging, but I do like their formula. So this is a nice palette. Green is probably my favorite eyeshadow color to play with. I just think that green in general as a color is very peaceful and calming for me. I like green decor in my home, even though it might not be my best color. I like to wear green. And those are usually softer tones, but when it comes to like neon greens, I like to wear those too, honestly, as far as eyeshadow. But neon green clothes, perhaps, I generally think of neons for like exercise clothes, especially green. It's just very energizing and stimulating. I'd love to have like a neon green bicycle. Our bikes were stolen last year, and that's frustrating because I love riding bike. I used to do a ride for charity that was 150 miles. That would take place in September, and what we did was we rode 75 miles from the start point to the ocean, essentially, on the first day, and then the next day we would ride the 75 miles back. So it wasn't 150 all in one shot, although some people would do a longer modified version that made the first leg of, or the first day rather, a full 100 miles, and then they'd ride 75 miles back. But I only ever did the 150 total, and I just love riding bike. I've always ridden a bike since I was a kid. I used to ride to my friends' houses once I was old enough to, ride on the street, because they were like a 5, maybe an 8-minute drive, but I would ride my bike there all the time. Okay, this is a much smaller blending brush, and I'm gonna grab Mix It Up. I just dove into this shadow. I know this is really pigmented, so I'm just gonna place it down carefully in the outer corner. I love this tone. What a pretty blue. Anyway, yeah, I've always loved bike riding, and our bikes were stolen out of our apartment complex last year, my daughter's as well as mine. I had gotten a new bike, like a nicer one, not just a $20 grab off Craigslist, but a nicer bike that I spent $500 on, and it was lightweight and it had a functioning gear shift. which my previous bike could not boast. It's a boring color though, it's like a charcoal, and it would have been fun if it were a lime green. These mats are so easy to work with. I think now I'm going to take a flat brush and grab the shade On the Rocks. I will load up my brush and then I'll spray it. I spray my shimmers because it helps them be applied in a more precise way, but it also helps control fallout. And the Glamlite shimmer formula is a little bit on the flaky side, just a bit. It's not too bad really, but it's enough that it would drop down onto my face. And I wanted to avoid that, so look how pretty this is. Now I can't forget about my palette pull-in, which is again that almost limey, grassy green shimmer. I'm trying to decide where I want to put that. I'm thinking I could either put it here on the lid or on the lower lash line. I think I'll put it on the lid because it's going to break up this monochromatic thing going on, and I prefer not to do monochromatic on the whole. I'm dipping my finger into the shade Pixie Dust because I like the way that ColourPop shimmers apply with my finger. And I'm just going to put this right here where the bluish shimmer meets the bluish mattes. That breaks it up a little bit. And then I'll wipe off my finger and go into my brush and just tap those shadows together. And with a brush that I used for the dark blue matte with no additional product, I'll just tap on the edge of the green shimmer to work those formulas together a little more smoothly as well. There. That's better. I like breaking up the monochromatic. Sometimes I do go for monochromatic, but usually when I do that, I very intentionally combine cool and warm tones because it just makes it a bit more interesting, a little more variety. On the lower lash line, I'm taking a smaller and pinched blending brush. I'm going to grab the shade Dirty Martini and lay this down on the whole lower lash line, and then I'm going to, I think, bring some shimmers on top of it. There are a couple super beautiful green mattes in this palette. The Dirty Martini shade is one such. The other one I like a lot is Green Olive. Now I think I'll take a smaller flat brush and go into the shade Gin. I'm going to make sure that I load up the edges of the brush, not just the flat, and then I'll spray it. So Gin I want to put on the outer lower lash line. I don't usually put shimmers all the way out here, but that's alright, you know, you don't always have to do what you always do. Did that make sense? I don't want the shimmer all the way out here, so I'm taking a smudger brush, grabbing Mix It Up again, and just putting it right on the edge of the outer lower lash line. I'm just pressing it into the base of the lashes there, just to bring a smidge more depth, but also to cut that sparkle, because I don't want sparkle all the way out there. Then I think I'll go back into my palette pull-in shade, and I'm going to grab Pixie Dust with a smaller blending brush. It's a little more pointed, and now I'm going to spray it. So this shadow I'm placing on top of the green matte that I laid down over here. And I think that's really pretty. It's not earth-shattering, but it's pretty. And now the question is what to do for an inner corner highlight. I think because why not, I will take the Paradise Islands palette. Taking the same small blending brush, I'm going to pick up the shade Whale. I have no idea how this is going to look. This is sort of a purpley blue iridescent kind of shadow. No idea. I'm going to spray it. So let's place this right here and see what it brings. Okay, I can live with that. That's pretty. I'm just concentrating it right here at the inner corner. And then once most of the product is off of my brush, I'll clean the brush off a little bit and then just flare that shadow up and out just to disperse it a bit. I think that's really pretty actually. That brings such a different tone to the rest of these colors, honestly, and it actually matches my shirt really well, my earrings. That was a good choice. Okay, I'm gonna choose something for the waterline. You know the drill. I'll be right back. Okay, here we go, all said and done. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'm going to tell you how I finished it off. In my waterline, I used, of course, this blue Big Splash from ColourPop's Creme Gel Liners. Next time I place a ColourPop order, I will try to get Angie's ever favorite Prance, but for now I have Big Splash. I did do a liner, a wing on both sides, as you can see. It's not very good, so don't look too closely. On my lips, I have the glowing lip from ColourPop in the shade Candy Kisses, and I topped it with just a smidge of their lip oil in the shade Cosmic Click. And then on my face, I started to use this blush from Milani. This is the shade 01 in Dolce Pink, but I thought that it was a little bit too pink. I don't know. I like a more peachy leaning blush, so I topped it with this ColourPop Super Shock Cheek in the shade No Vacancy, and then I put a little bit of highlighter over top. And besides that, I think that's everything. Everything I'm using is linked below in the description box. I think the look is really, really pretty. I have done something like this before. This is not an unusual eyeshadow look for me. What's different is the inner corner pop, and I love it. I love that it brings a whole new color to the look. It's not blue and it's not green. It's sort of a blue, purple, pinky-ish iridescent. It's really, really pretty. It brightens up that area. It ties into my shirt. It ties into my earrings. I think that is really what makes this look a bit special. I mean, the look is beautiful. It's just not terribly different for me, but I think that inner corner pop makes a huge difference. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you like the look as much as I do. Do remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more content. Thank you so much for being with me here today, and I will see you guys again in my next video. Bye!